In Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar, Cassius, a Roman nobleman, says this to his friend Brutus. "The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings." Through his plays, William Shakespeare transmitted his conviction that the destinies of humans are not determined by the stars or external forces, but by their exercise of faith, courage, and integrity on one hand, or fear, doubt, and cowardice on the other hand. One of his other famous quotes says, "Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt." Fear is a subconscious awareness of inadequacy and insecurity, which leads people to spontaneously expect negative outcomes. Fear is faith in the undesirable. The things you fear are only modes by which your inner darkness expresses itself. The root of fear is in your subconscious conditioning. Let us review the modes by which fear expresses itself as we prepare to dive deeper into the mechanism by which we are programmed to be fearful beings. You rise above fear by understanding fear. Fear is a ghost that manifests in many forms. Fear of change. The law of inertia, or the comfort zone syndrome, is as true for humans as it is true for inanimate objects. The greatest of all fears is really the fear of change. Change requires stepping out of the familiar to the unfamiliar, or from the known to the unknown. People fear the unknown because they are unable to visualize what the new circumstances will be, what these new circumstances will do to them, and how they will adapt to these new circumstances. It is just more convenient to remain where they are, even if it means putting up with poverty, abusive relationships, and jobs that they are not happy with. Fear of failure. When people fear failure, it is not because failure in itself is a bad thing. The problem is that most people have emotional scars from their past conditioning and past experiences that have made them feel inadequate. When they try something and fail, that failure serves as a reminder or a validation of their subconscious feeling of inferiority. So, in order to protect themselves, they would rather try nothing than face the possibility of failure and hurt. Fear of success. Becoming successful usually comes along with the need to change one's lifestyle, one's companions, and one's environment. Sometimes success puts us in a spotlight where we become vulnerable to attacks, become accountable to stakeholders, and become responsible for other people. Being successful almost always includes working harder and smarter than everyone else. This is a change that most people are not ready to face. So although everyone wishes to succeed, most people end up finding ways of sabotaging their success or justifying their lack of action. Fear of criticism. If I was to pay attention to those who disagree with me and criticize me, I would not have published 400 articles in the year 2019. If I was to pay attention to those who said that what I was doing was impossible, I would not have launched one company in 2018 in the USA and another one in Cameroon in 2019. Our families, friends, peers, and social connections contribute in defining who we become. Most people are so weak and gullible that they always seek validation from external forces. As a result, they will do something only when others agree that it should be done. Criticism damages the fragile ego they have borrowed from society, so they do all to avoid criticism by doing nothing. Fear of rejection. An advanced form of criticism is the possibility of actually being ostracized emotionally, psychologically, or physically from certain circles. In Batu village where I grew up, poverty was so normal that it was a standard of life. When anyone became rich, the stereotype in the minds of the people was that he had joined a secret society. I have brothers who lost their childhood friends when they became successful. I have childhood friends who possess the talent and hard work of 7 men, but will never allow themselves to become millionaires because they want to continue fitting in the society where they have become local champions. Fear of loss of love. Our love relationships constitute the rare lens upon which our spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, and social energies are focalized. Love relationships are the one place where most people engage their heart, head, and hand and become wholly alive. When a love relationship is broken, it often shatters the person whose entire sense of self was based on that relationship. This is a thing to be feared, perhaps more than death itself. As a result of this fear, many people reduce themselves to their lovers' puppets. They do only what the lover says they should do and avoid anything that the lovers may be uncomfortable with. Fear of death. Although everyone is aware of the fact that he or she will one day leave this physical body, no one has any idea of what is going to happen, where and when they leave this earth. Apart from religious speculation, there is no certainty of what awaits us on the other side of the veil. This is terrifying to most people. The fear is not really of death itself, but the fear of the unknown that lies beyond death. Since most people have a strong sense of insecurity, this fear can become so great that it turns people mad. They are afraid of any unfamiliar person, place, thing, or experience because the only thing that they can think about is that these people, places, or experiences or things are coming to kill them. Fear of being insignificant. As potent as all the above manifestations of fear are, there is actually a fear that rules over it all. One can call this one the master fear. The human soul is an eternal spirit that emerges out of a source, takes human flesh through the womb, and navigates this earthly adventure called life, and then finally returns to its source through the tomb. Because we know for a fact that our lives are bigger than our bodies, we have the intrinsic awareness that we are eternal beings and our lives must mean something. This is the awareness that inspires people to want to be significant so that they are not forgotten. Everyone wants to be remembered. It is scary to go through life unnoticed, and even more scary to die and be forgotten as if one never lived. Some people respond to this fear by conforming to their environment so that they will not be rejected. Others respond to this fear by becoming negative deviants who hurt others so as to feel important and powerful. A few others respond to this fear by becoming positive deviants who create meaning by serving others. Now that you know what fear is and how it manifests, I invite you to take time to examine yourself and determine what types of fears are dominant in your life. Do this so that you will be ready for the next step. In the next presentation, I will walk you through the process of conquering your fear. I am GodfreyEsoh. Thank you for following this episode of Raptures of Inspiration.